It's now 4 o'clock in New York. A handful of people called it ambitious. Many, many, many more called it reckless or absurd or plain foolish or unnecessary. But Trump went about it anyway, promising 90 deals in 90 days. They said a hostile reforging of the global economy in which other countries would, in their telling, trip all over themselves for the opportunity to hash out new trade deals with the U.S. Now, though, a little more than halfway through that timeline, and what exactly does the U.S. have to show for it? Well, the framework of a deal with the U.K., I guess, a preliminary deal with China, maybe, a handshake agreement forged in Geneva that Trump now insists China has violated. Quote, so much for being Mr. Nice Guy, he posted on social media this morning, which is amazing at every level. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent addressed the negotiations a short time later. Watch.
They are a bit stalled. I believe that we will be having more talks with them in the next few weeks, and I believe we may at some point have a call between the president and party chair Xi. I am confident that the Chinese will come to the table when President Trump makes his preferences known. So far from 90 deals in 90 days, one, in the words of the Treasury Secretary, stalled negotiation, one framework. So we'll call it 1.5. But 90 days, it could still happen. There is, to be fair, time left, just less and less of it by the day. And if you think about it, even if you don't know anything about trade, think about the state of America's bargaining power, the state of the administration's ability to have any leverage. Imagine you're a trade negotiator representing another country in these negotiations. It's not exactly classified. You pick up any newspaper and you'll see the stories pile up. Court rulings, while currently paused pending appeal, are casting serious doubt on Trump's authority to make good on any of his tariff threats. In other words, if there's an open question as to whether or not the people sitting opposite you at the bargaining table representing America can legally impose tariffs, what is the incentive to make any concessions at all in a deal with the U.S.? In its latest reporting, the Washington Post quoted a former Indian Commerce Ministry official who said this, quote, these tariffs may or may not be there, but agreements are forever. How can we give him concessions on something that may not even last? It's a good question. Meanwhile, the Trump aide, who touted 90 deals in 90 days, insists there is nothing to see here. Everything is fine.
So, look, the tariffs remain in place. The court told us, they didn't all but tell us, they told us, go do it another way. So you can assume that even if we lose, we will do it another way. And I can assure the American people that the Trump tariff agenda is alive, well, healthy, and will be implemented to protect you. There's going to be, within the next, I don't know, say a few days, because that puts me too much on the spot, but you will see a cascade of new deals coming out in the near future, and these will all be good for the American people.
Okay, so Mr. 90 deals in 9 days is now promising a, quote, cascade of deals in the next, quote, few days. Okay. It calls to mind the wise words of one very famous deal maker. Quote, you can't con people, at least not for long. You can create excitement, you can do wonderful promotion and get all kinds of press, and you can throw in a little hyperbole. But if you don't deliver the goods, the people will eventually catch on. Of course, that deal maker was Donald J. Trump himself. Go figure. It's where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. NPR financial correspondent Maria Aspen is here. Also joining us, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan, Justin Wolfers is here. Also joining us, MSNBC political analyst, host of the Bulwark podcast, Tim Miller is here. Tim, I'm going to start with you because I know this is economic in nature and is about trade, but it's really about Donald Trump and the absolute tsunami of baloney that comes from his mouth. 90 deals in 90 days is in the same vein as Mexico's going to pay for the wall. There are no deals. There is one framework, and in the words of Scott Bessent,
one stalled conversation that has commenced with China. That is it.
Yeah, can you have a bologna taco? That doesn't sound very good. I was trying to mix our food metaphors with the Trump trade deals. Look, here's the thing about all this. It's all been bluster and fake from the start, right? And like the question was, how much of this was he going to be allowed to do by the courts? How crazy was the advisors around him going to let him get? How bad were they going to let the bond market get? But it is the whole Trump MO on this. It's this as you mentioned, it is how he was as a businessman. It's exactly the same thing that we're seeing in the Russia-Ukraine negotiations. I was just kind of listening to you talk about how we had 90 nails in 90 days, and then it's going to be a few days and a few more days. It's the same thing as the Russia-Ukraine thing. Mm-hmm. He keeps saying it's going to be 2 weeks. We're going to solve it in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he's been saying 2 weeks for 3 months. So, like, that is just the reality of this. It's chaotic leadership. He has a direction that he wants to go, which is he wants people to come in and ask for him for favors, and he wants to feel powerful, and the tariff card allows him to do that. But there's no actual plan here. And I was mostly struck by listening to Bessent over on Fox, and it's like, the Chinese will come to the table, he said, I think, when Trump lets his priorities be known. It's like, what have we been doing so far? Like, the Chinese don't know what Trump's priorities are? I thought we had a deal with the Chinese. Like, it's all smoke and mirrors because they can't make any deals because the courts might not allow it, and they don't know what the boss wants day to day.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, jump in on what Tim is talking about. How do you make a deal with a nation pertaining to trade with across-the-board tariffs and specific tariffs on and then paused and then reduced while paused and then off pause, if you don't even know if the thing that's been on, off, paused, reduced, and raised is his authority to grant or take off? Yeah, very hard. I don't even know how to answer that question, to tell you the truth, Nicole. I was like, I am an economist. I do have a PhD in these things. And then when you say it that way, there's the pause that was paused, and then they paused the pause on the pause, and they're worried. And then they lowered it. They unpaused that. Yeah. And but they lowered it and then paused it again. Yeah. After the pause that was paused, then the courts blocked it, and then they blocked the block, which means it's unblocked. And sometimes the way I try to answer this is I think to myself, imagine, I get to do this, not all your viewers do, imagine the Australian Prime Minister called me and asked for advice right now. It's actually a useful way of thinking about this. I'd just say stay home. Yeah. You don't know what this bloke's going to do or say. We do know from the British not a deal that he just walked into the room and they said the tariffs are 10%. That's what it is. Full stop. No deal. And then they made a couple of little carve-outs so that they could each have a press conference and each try to convince their own populations there were useful things going on. So I do think the president fashions himself as a great negotiator, but I actually think he made a really, really tragic mistake. Look, if what he wanted to do was get the attention of another country, say China, he did that by imposing tariffs. But you don't have to impose the tariff, which, by the way, hurts the American people. You can just call the President Xi and say, I could impose tariffs. You just have to say you've got the argument. Everyone understands that. By actually imposing the tariff, that led the court to say, no, you can't do that. Now he's actually shown that there's nothing left. We had, I have to get this in for you, Nicole, you're going to love it. Yes, Tim talked about the taco, but what we had yesterday was the burrito. We had the blatantly unconstitutional rewriting of the rules of international trade. That's obviously. So good. That's so good. Just for you. I'm going to have to make a graphic in the break so that we can come back with that. Say it one more time. The blatantly unconstitutional rewriting of the rules of international trade, obviously. And look. Oh, I love it. Nicole, I have to get one more in for you. Tell me. What we really need in response is a churro. We need to understand that the courts have ultimate responsibility to restore order. Yeah.